here at the New York Design Awards, the Design Summit. John Weinbrenner, g'day, how are you?
Doing very well, thank you.
Now, earlier you handed me a little box and I have been a little bit possessive of it, so I'm not going to even let you open it. You've got to open up your own. But what is this?
This is the CLUG Bike Rack. It's just a little tiny bike rack, thank you, that we designed for our own purposes. We were a small design firm that had a bunch of bikes. Most of the team rode their bikes into the office, and we threw our bikes into the corner and they stacked up and marked up the walls. And so we designed a little bike rack that mounts to the wall. You lift your bike up, back tire on the ground, and you pop your tire into it and it holds it in place. And so we're from Vancouver, BC, Canada, and it's a booming bike market. But the residential apartments, or the urban apartments, are shrinking, very much like New York. And so people wanted to bring their bikes in. They couldn't store them outside because they were getting stolen. So it solved a bunch of problems that our team was facing, and it seems that other people are kind of glomming onto it.
Okay, so you identified the need because of us living in small apartments to find a solution for our bikes, which was stacking up. They're marking the walls. This is something I have to deal with every single day, which is why I'm now really possessive of my new box that you handed to me as well. But as you said, it's a pretty saturated market for something like this. So what is it that you needed to do to try and get it out there? How did you start that process?
Well, it started with I wouldn't call it the new trend, but the trend of starting a project or a program on Kickstarter. We were a small design firm that was looking to kind of show what we were capable of doing, and all of our prospective clients were asking, have you done a Kickstarter campaign? And the answer was no, but we can. And they said, well, prove it. So we tried to go out and do that. And so that's where this started. It started as a fun project that just happened to grow into something bigger.
Yeah, but as I said, there are a lot of other solutions to dealing with one's bicycle and apartment. So what is it that this design does, and also how you market it, that differentiates yourself from the other stuff that's out there? Okay.
So from the difference being that if you looked around, there's lots of solutions. There are things that you can strap from the ceiling, that you can winch your bike up, or beautiful pieces of art that you can set your bike on, that can hang your helmets and all this other stuff. Or there's a 50-cent hook that you can screw into the ceiling, and there was really nothing in between. And for us, that's kind of where it really was. What we were focused on was what suited our needs. As designers, we loved those high-end products, but we don't want to spend $150, $200 on something to store our bike, and we wanted something that had some sort of design appeal beyond a paint rubber dipped metal hook to hang our bikes on. And you have everything in between. You have the fixies that their bike is their lifestyle, so they want to show it off. They don't want it strapped with 17 chains out in front of their apartments, or stuffed in the corner of their apartments inside, or they're not even allowed to have them inside. And so that's one of the things that we're hoping to address with something like this, where we have a product that can allow the bike to be brought in and not mark up the walls and not create a problem in the context of a small apartment.
So you started with a Kickstarter campaign. Obviously, there's the next stage, which is to try and find a way of getting it out there, getting it into stores. So what's the sort of the process for you, or how have you structured that, or how are you continuing to change that?
That's a very good question, because I'm learning every day. We're a year into this, and we started off going online only, and then trying to sell to international distribution partners right out of the gate, which has worked. I'm not going to say it's been a failure by any stretch of the imagination, but what we're finding is especially in North America, that we need to get this into the little guys' bike shops, the people that are passionate about it. Putting the product onto big store shelves, which seems to be everybody's goal out of the gate. Can you get it into the Walmarts? Can you get it into the, whatever might be the big place to sell, where you're going to sell a gazillion of them, where a product like this, that where people get possessive about them, as I'm finding out, right out of the gate.
It's mine.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. People are getting possessive about them right out of the gate. We want to get into the corner bike shop and get those people that love their bikes and they're selling them because of that passion for it. That's kind of where we're targeting now. So there's been this transition over the course of a year, a learning, where nowadays, where you go from Kickstarter to online sales to and global distribution. I can have things made in China and sent to a warehouse in Delaware, and I can, with a click of a button, I can have these products sent anywhere in the world in a matter of seconds. So it really creates this element of disfocus, or it defocuses your view of what your business is about, and that's what I've been kind of learning and trying to scrape back in.
So you're constantly having to kind of redesign how you think about how you even market something. You've got the design, that's down pat, but then you have to. The next process is continuous. This is fine. That's not going to change, but you have to keep working the business model.
Exactly. So, as a CEO in this new economy, and as both my design firm or the CLUG as a product, is things just explode instantly, and it's so easy to get lost in the ether of this explosion of attention and people pulling at you from Brazil or pulling at you from South Africa or pulling at you from Seattle. Or New York. It's just you feel like a kid in a candy shop. You're bouncing around and you're going, "Oh yeah, I'll take care of you." And I'll tell you where you just got to take this deep breath and realize that yes, we're in an instantly global market, but we got to remember to stay true to our local selves and what the product's really for.
Yeah. Okay. So can I get a sense of how it's going? I mean, I know this is launched last year in London, yep. I believe. So where is it today?
From a numbers standpoint, it's a successful small business. We're having a great run right now with some sales that we've had for Black Friday and Cyber Monday. Cyber Monday, yeah. And we have distribution partners in 14 countries. Like I already alluded to, is I can click a button and I can have somebody send them to somebody in Florida tomorrow or South Africa. Our biggest hurdle is how we get them there. A product that's $20 or less that you want to ship to Australia, it's costs as much to ship it down there as it does to make it or to sell it. So there's this dichotomy that you got to figure out how to get out to those global markets, or do you pull it back in and you say, okay, we're just selling to North America or wherever your region is. It's a very, at least for me, being a person that's just has been focused on aesthetics and user experience, trying to think about this global distribution setup has been my biggest learning curve. But as a company, I would call it a success to date, and with a lot still to do.
One of the, this is small. Let's face it. Yeah. It's quite tiny. It fits in the palm of my hand. So when you're in a bike shop, bikes are pretty big, let's face it. So what's the visibility factor? How do you get it at point of sale?
It's actually the biggest problem that we've had over the course of the last year is that visibility issue. We've gotten into some of those larger retail shops, and what ends up happening is you start off and you can have this hanging on the shelf or on a tag, and around it you'll have 17 other products. And it gets lost in there. And one of the things that we loved as designers is our logo was a manifestation of the product itself. And you get excited about it as designers, but then you realize as this little tiny box that ships, 24 of them, I can fit into a box like this and ship around the world instantly, well, not instantly, but easily is the word I was looking for. It doesn't show well on a shelf. So people will walk by it and say, well, what's the C? Or I can put it into, part of our packaging solution was, even if I put it on, strap it into this little hanging card, it shows what it does, but it's still, it's very, even with the bright orange, it still can get lost on a shelf. So that's our biggest hurdle to overcome at the moment, is trying to figure out how to get this into people's hands that are going to be passionate about it and get possessive about it, and which is why we've had this refocus on the smaller bike shops in probably the last 2 or 3 months.
Okay. I keep on thinking of some great gimmicks, but I don't know what. What big ideas have you got other than just small shops, I should say?
Oh, that's a great question. We should a couple of beers and some napkins tonight. Maybe we'll come up with some great ideas on that one. The reality for me is that all this is about fun. To me, one of the biggest things that was successful for CLUG was that the January to May, where we were designing this and coming up with it, it was the most fun we had, or at least the most fun that I've had in my career. We were doing something that interested us. It had a purpose to create this Kickstarter campaign. We were out on the beach in Vancouver, strapping bikes to tree stumps and taking photographs of it, and stomping around in the woods and doing things like that. Even though it got people, "What are you doing? Why are you strapping your bike to a tree?" And our response was because it was fun. But so to answer your question is, what are we looking to do to market it next? That's what I need to tap into again. Yeah. For the last year, I've been so focused on numbers and distribution channels and where what the next order is for to China, or how do I get my product to somebody somewhere, that I need to retap into that fun. And you kind of alluded to it in your question in itself. What's the next big thing? And sitting here, I can't answer that, but I do know that it has to reconnect with that fun element, and what people, I believe, connected with our campaign and our marketing and the product itself is that it's fun. You open it up and it says hi, and it has all the instructions built into it, and this isn't so quit looking at my bottom on the bottom of the package, and it does say that. It does say that. Yeah. I've got my reading glasses over there if you want to borrow them.
It's a bit cheeky.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Bad joke. You need to make it a verb. It's to do something, isn't it? To clug, Clugging. What are you doing with your bike? I'm clugging my bike.
Yeah, then my patent lawyer and my intellectual property lawyer gets irritated at me because you're not supposed to allow your product to become a verb. But that's your point's well taken. In that you want to be able to clug this into the wall.
Maybe we're giving you ideas here. Which the point is that when I opened this, and a few other people were with me, were very excited because it was something new. So there's obviously that desire, that need, and it's fun too. So you're tapping into that fun. So can you build a community around a product like this, something so small?
I like to believe so, but at the same time, I struggle as a designer to not make it seem like it's manufactured. Like, to me, community comes from the community, not from us. Like, we can ask the question, where do you clug your bike? And yes, we've gotten answers to that, and people respond to it. But if that's where it starts, I don't feel like the momentum necessarily builds from there. But maybe that's my lack of marketing skill, and I need somebody that's more heady than me as when it comes to that stuff. But the part that's always really resonated with me is just handing the product to somebody, handing a product like you, and you going, mine, I love this is great. Whether it's this product or others that I've worked on in the past, it's just that part of social and that part of community is really what makes something move forward. It's about the community, not about us. And so I struggle with that dichotomy a bit. And how do you curate that or encourage that without it feeling like you're curating or encouraging that to move forward?
It does. It certainly does. Well, thank you. It's been wonderful to find out more about the CLUG. I'm clugged in now, so I know all about it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.